Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And welcome to the State of the Saints podcast on YouTube, Facebook, or if you're listening on the audio podcast, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. On this edition, Who That Nation, I think we got to get a little bit deep. Uh, you know, on the State of the Saints podcast, we try to discuss issues and we talk about everything. This isn't a show where we shy away from any subject. This is a show that we actually ask the very, tough questions, and then we come up with some tough answers. And I thought it was only right because I get a lot of emails from you all. Thank you very much. Everybody that ever emailed me as a topic of conversation. Anybody that ever wanted me to do a show based on their topic, I really do appreciate it. But there are some people that actually send me emails and they get a little bit upset, and I won't name them, but they get upset at some of the Saints players taking part in some of these social issues, some of these issues that a lot of people consider political. So today we're going to be talking about, do you have a problem with some of the top New Orleans Saints players taking a part in social issues? As you all know, we're dealing with a lot of things in our climate right now. We all know about COVID-19, the coronavirus that is spreading all throughout the United States. But there's also something else in the United States that is growing, and that is a movement, Black Lives Matter, and there's also a movement going on with people who are trying to resist that the world is actually changing. And you have a lot of people out here who are angry, man, that their favorite football players and their favorite athletes are taking a part in some of these issues that they consider political. Because when they turn on their television, they want to be reminded, they don't want to be reminded of what's going on in the world. Maybe they just want to take those 3 to 4 hours to distract themselves from what's really going on in society. Or they haven't really woken up yet to a point where the world is going to leave them behind. But I wanted to talk about this, man. They want a person asked me, do I have a problem with any of the Saints players taking part in social issues? And the answer to that is absolutely not. I don't have a problem with that, and I'll elaborate a little bit later. But we're also going to be talking about something that has been, I feel like it needs to be discussed as well. We're going to be talking about Drew Brees, man, and we're going to be answering the question, is Drew Brees holding the Saints back? I think this is a very, I think this is a very good question to ask because a lot of people in the Who That Nation have different views of Drew Brees now in this stage of his career than they did in the past. So the question is Drew Brees holding back the New Orleans Saints? But to go back to the question that I just asked, do I have an issue with the players taking a part in any of these social issues? Absolutely not, man. I don't have a problem with any of these players taking a part in social issues. There was a commercial that happened in the mid '90s, and it was Charles Barkley. I think he was trying to sell like some deodorant or something like that. I don't know if it was I can't remember the deodorant brand. Somebody probably gonna have to help me with that. But I remember, he had this whole campaign of saying he wasn't a role model. He was like, I'm not a role model. I'm not a role model. And people really got on Charles Barkley because he didn't consider himself a role model. He, parents were writing mail to Charles Barkley and saying that, they were a fan of his and their kids watch him and, the kid look up to him. So, yes, you are a role model. And now I look at, thank you. The right stick. Thank you very much, Chemo. Yeah, right stick. Right guard. Right stick. Tomato. But anyway, and I remember like the backlash that he got from that. And you fast forward now, you have these players out here. They consider themselves role models. They understand that we live in a social media world where their world is almost, is small. You know what I'm saying? You can see under a microscope now. You know what I'm saying? Everything that they do, every move that they make, you have kids online, you have even adults online who looking at these guys to see what they do. And some of the responses that they give in certain situations really tells a person a lot about their character. And I think these guys have rose to the occasion. Now, you might not agree with some of the things they feel like what they're standing up for. You may not agree with them, but at the same time, man, these guys are doing what's right in their hearts, and I got a lot of respect for that. And I'm always down for people who are willing to say how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Rather I disagree with it or not. I think that we all have a right to our own opinion. I think we all have a right to our own views. And, sometimes we might receive backlash from it. For example, Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson receiving some backlash for using some what they call anti-Semitic, saying, and a lot of people consider like Jew hate, philosophy. He used that, to try to, I guess, make a point, which he used a quote from Adolf Hitler was a big no-no. But I mean, he did what he felt, he needed to do. He apologized or whatever like that. But I don't have a problem with players using their platforms in order to try to create change, because they understand, like, they have that platform. Like me and you, our platforms aren't that big. Like, I can say something on the State of the Saints, or you can say something on social media. I can say something on social media, and it probably won't register. It probably register within our community, and you might get some likes, and you might even get some feedback from people that you know. But these guys out here, man, they got millions of followers. They got sponsors. They got all these people that back them. They have an opportunity in order for them to spread their message, and even the message that we may have. They may be able to help spread our message a little bit further. So I have absolutely no problem with them doing that. So I don't think that anybody should have an issue with anybody speaking their mind. I don't have no issue with that at all. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the chat, and right now I'm going to read a few. Shouts out to Jasper, Iceman T, Jamarcus, Chemo, Jerry Poise, DLP 2600. Jerry says, no, I don't have a problem with this issue. It doesn't bother me. Chemo said, health and safety over everything. I love the sport, but this is a serious matter, man. I have no problem with any player who chooses safety first. Yeah, Chemo, I mean, rather it be with the coronavirus, rather it be, with social issues, I don't have a problem with that at all. Deshaun Jackson is getting killed, and rightfully so. Yeah, I agree with that though, man. I know a lot of people. We got to be very, very careful about the narrative. Like, we can't expect like certain things to happen, to people, and not expect them to happen just because a person shares the same skin color as us. Now, when somebody of a different skin color, as black people, say something very, controversial, whatever like that, like, we have what they call, for those white viewers out there that may not know, they have something called Black Twitter. Okay, and Black Twitter likes to attack, people who say things that are, like that are racist, or bigamous. They like to call those people, like they like to attack those people, and they want those white individuals or the people of different, colors to actually speak up and apologize and all that kind of stuff there. I feel like it's only right that Deshaun Jackson, receives some level of backlash. I mean, we're not just trying to change the world for black people. We're trying to change the world for everybody. We want to take down monuments and take down statues and change legislation. And we want to not talk about building walls, and we want to build bridges. So we're not just trying to do that for just the black community. We're trying to do that for everybody. So I feel like everybody needs to fall in line. If we're going to create change, we don't just need to be asking for change for one particular culture. We need to be asking for change for each and every one of us. And with Deshaun Jackson, man, I feel like, he needs to apologize, which he has done. And I think that he needs to receive some backlash because of it. I don't feel like it's fair that, we would jump on somebody for saying some things, out here, if they're famous, like people like, George Lopez, Roseanne Barr, like all these different people who said all these crazy things, and we so outraged by it. We should have the same level of outrage and the same level of sympathy, man. I mean, black people, we went through a lot in this country. Don't get me wrong. We definitely been through a lot. Jewish people have been through a lot as well, when it comes to the Holocaust. And anybody, you know what I'm saying, like how I guess the way I look at it, like how slavery is to us, that's how Adolf Hitler's name is to Jewish people. So I feel like he do need to apologize, and I think that he does deserve some backlash because of this, man. Because it's only right, man. It's only fair. You know, we can't just turn the other way just because. You know what I'm saying? We want to be able to have equality for everybody, not just for just for us. And I feel like, if we just looking for what's in it for us, then we going about this all wrong. For me, just Jenkins, he went in on Drew Brees publicly. That opened the door for the entire world to beat the man down. Now we have a quarterback leader who pretty much got owned and looks really weak. I disagree with that, Mike. I disagree with that. I don't think that Malcolm Jenkins made him look weak. I will say this. I feel like Malcolm Jenkins should have, took about 10 minutes. I don't think that he should have just went on social media and, just went raw and uncut like that, which he ended up deleting his tweet and his Instagram immediately following that. He ended up deleting the post, but I feel like he should have counted to 10 and then came out here and made his comments. But Drew Brees is going to rise above this, man. I don't think anybody like lose respect for Drew Brees to a point where they just feel like he's a racist or a bigot. I think they just look at Drew Brees like he just did something that was in bad taste at bad timing. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if Drew Brees feels that way, which I still feel like he does, a lot of people feel like he shouldn't have said it at that time because it gave, some people opportunity to hijack what was actually going on. So that's what a lot of people were upset about Drew about. And as far as Malcolm Jenkins, man, look, you can't change what a guy is. Malcolm Jenkins is a guy who likes to consider himself a freedom fighter. He's a guy that's a part of the NFLPA. He's a leader. And he's really passionate about some of these social issues going on out here. So I can't knock the man for that, but I don't think he made Drew Brees look weak. I think that a lot of people respect Drew Brees. They understand that he has enough skins on the wall to prove that, he is not what some people who don't follow him say that he is. He's a great human being. So but I don't knock Malcolm Jenkins for being who he is. I believe Drew is holding the team back, but I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I feel like the pocket passing is done for, and we need a scrambler like Russell Wilson or Lamar to keep plays alive. That's a good point chosen. A lot of people feel like the new age quarterback is the new wave and everybody should get one. Like, I guess, it's almost like, back in the late 90s. I don't know, you remember it, chosen. I'm pretty sure you don't because you're kind of young. But when I was around your age, man, the most popular toy was the Tickle Me Elmo. You know what I'm saying? It came out like maybe like the late 90s or something like that. And everybody wanted one for their child for Christmas. And everybody stood in line. They fought for them. You know what I'm saying? They're out here throwing blows. Blood is being shed. All that for this Tickle Me Elmo who just vibrates and laughs. Okay? You know what I'm saying? But everybody wanted one. So I feel like that's how we are right now. That's the new wave right now. The new wave is the scrambling quarterback, a guy that can improvise plays and throw the ball all over the place and, like being able to generate excitement. Like, I think it's an excitement aspect to it as well, man. Like, people don't like to watch paint dry. You know what I'm saying? People don't like that. You know what I'm saying? People like the color when it's done, but people don't like to sit there and watch and be like, man, I can't wait till this paint dry so I can see how good this wall gonna look. We don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So we don't like that in our quarterbacks, man. We want to see the finished product. You know what I'm saying? We want to see the athleticism. We want to see the speed. We want to see the 60-yard bombs down the field. You know what I'm saying? But we also want to see a quarterback that's fundamentally sound as well. So when you look at what's going on in society and when you see what's going on with the NFL, you realize that these quarterbacks out here right now, these guys are like genetic freaks right now. So to a certain extent, I do feel like the NFL has passed Drew Brees by, but it's not because, what he does not do. I think it's because he's a 41-year-old quarterback playing in a 20-plus year-old NFL. You know what I'm saying? And I can attest to this, man. Like, and chosen, like I said, you're a baby, man. But eventually you're gonna get older, man, and your reflexes are gonna slow down. And the things that you once did, excuse me, you're not gonna be able to do those things anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like your reflexes are gonna change, your speed is gonna change. I go to the gym all the time, and you know what I'm saying, I try to work out and also play basketball. And I've been there with a lot of guys, they're like probably in their early 20s, mid 20s. And sometimes like they'll shoot the ball, miss. I want to catch a rebound. You know what I'm saying? Like I know in my mind I'm supposed to get up there and catch that rebound. But you know that split second, you know what I'm saying, like that young person might jump, you know what I'm saying, in front of me and get the play. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think about like I be getting mad or whatever. I'm like, man, I remember I can just jump up there and I can just get it. And it is something you like, it don't even register. Like it's just a matter of you doing. But now it's like you think about what you're gonna do, you want to do it, but you can't. And I can only imagine being 41 years old, being Drew Brees, when you know, okay, you know what I'm saying, I can throw this ball down the field, or I know I can hit this guy, and you look back and realize, man, I ain't got that arm strength anymore, or you know what I'm saying, like, or that timing that I once had, you know, I don't have it anymore. You know, like it's tough when you have to realize that. So I feel like if Drew Brees probably was like, you know, 24, 25 years old, playing the way that he is, you know what I'm saying? Like, or, you know what I'm saying, him being at the age of 25 playing, you know what I'm saying, I think he'll be much better. I just think that it's a young man's game. And Drew Brees is 41 years old. Let's see. That's why I keep it low key. I don't follow Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram, etc. All I follow is YouTube and MeWe. I don't even know what that is. But look, I mean, you don't want to, you know, I mean, that's your preference, Jerry. But you know, social media is a blessing and it's also a curse. I look at social media in two ways. Especially like a guy coming from New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. Uh, it was a way for me to interact with people and find out, you know, that people were still alive, still kicking, and what they were doing. So it was a plus for me at the beginning. But I also feel like social media kind of turned a lot of people into like egotistical, narcissistic individual, you know what I'm saying, people like who just look for others to validate them. And I feel like it also, you know, make people feel like their self-worth is based on how many followers they have, or how many likes they get, or how they're just accepted by people, and how they're just, you know, commenting down below talking about how much they're appreciated. Like I feel like there's a level of vanity, and you know what I'm saying, and that social media has created for people. And I don't like that part of it. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. And I really just don't like the fact that people don't read anymore. They don't really investigate things. They look at topics, they look at titles, and they don't even try to follow it through. I give you an example. I made a show a couple of days ago about Drew Brees, and it was like three ways Drew Brees' career, you know what I'm saying, like is holding the Saints back or something like that. It was something like that. That was the title. And people were like really getting mad at me and saying, "Oh man, here you are kicking against Drew Brees. Here you go talking about Drew Brees." And if a person actually looked at the video, they will actually see how we actually do things here. You know, I make a topic, I talk about it, I do an opening statement, and I open the floor to everybody here to, you know what I'm saying, to interact with them. But instead of them actually clicking on a link and finding out what it's all about, they rather take a title and run along with it. And I feel like that's something that social media does to people. It makes people lazy. It makes people not be able to go out there and investigate and find their own truth, not just about what's going on in the world, but even about themselves. I think that it creates a false sense of reality for people. But it does do some good, like I said, when you can be able to interact with people and also see other people's point of view. If they're willing to understand other people's point of view, it's a blessing. But it's also a curse because there's a number of individuals end up committing suicide, end up hurting themselves because of them not being what they call socially acceptable by people on Facebook and Twitter. If the season starts, how likely is the NFL to shut down like the NBA did if the cases rise during the season? Probably very strongly. I think that it will, and it probably wait till it's like the fall or something like that. When things start to cool down, and I guess like a lot of people are saying, like when it starts to get cold outside, might not have so many cases, so might do that. Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. People wild on social media and stuff and do dumb stuff. Yeah, they definitely do. They do a lot of things to try to be accepted by the world. 10 minutes is a good way to think. Twitter and other platforms are literally ruining careers and relationships. Stop and think. I agree with that, Mike. I think that a lot of people they invest too much of their time in social media. They invest too much of their worth in social media. And like I said, I'm not trying to act like I'm looking down on people because a long time, I had to figure that thing out. I kind of fell into that trap of being accepted by social media. Will people like me? You know what I'm saying? When I put things out, I would pay attention too much to the comments when people, what I'm saying, just say stuff to me, or if I didn't get the response that I felt like I deserved. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing. I feel like I deserve. What do we really deserve, really? But I used to get upset and I used to question my own self worth. And then I thought about it. I'm like, man, if I'm satisfied with what I'm doing and I love what I'm doing, that's good enough for me. And at first I would say that, and I didn't really too much believe it, but I believe it wholeheartedly now. And I just think that people just take too much time and, just focus too much on what social media has to say about them. You're allowing a person that's probably never going to interact with you, you're never going to meet that person. You're allowing that person to tell you who you are. I think that's crazy. I remember somebody told me, I don't need to know who you are to know you. Like that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like you don't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be bashing me about a cause or something like that, or because I don't feel the same way you do. I might have invested more time into the cause than you did. I mean, it's just so many things that people just allow other people on social media to do to them, and that's something I feel like we just need to take a break when it start getting real like that. Just take a break. Let me see. Chauncey Gardner Johnson is getting killed because he supposedly got some side chick pregnant, former jump off girl of Offset of the Migos. She passed at him for something. Message. Saints asked for release. Hold on. Wait a minute now. Chauncey Gardner Johnson is getting killed because he supposedly got a side chick pregnant, former jump off girl of Offset of the Migos. She passed at him for something. Message Saints asked for a release. Did the girl ask for a release from C.J. Garner Johnson, or how did that go? Did C.J. Garner Johnson ask for a release? I'm kind of confused by that. Look, man, it happens, man. It happens, man. These guys, they get rich, they get money, you know what I'm saying? Like they fall into these different circles. They end up like, getting attention from females that wouldn't give them the time of day if they was broke. But you know what I'm saying, they fall into that trap. They fall into that tax bracket. So I mean, it happens, you know what I'm saying? Like it's funny to us, like we'll laugh, or you know what I'm saying, we'll be like, man, how stupid are you? But man, when you rich, I guess you deal with different circumstances. I hate to say it like this, man, but as long as he can go out there and he can play on the field, hopefully he can get his personal life in check where it don't affect his on the field life. I feel like what go on between him and his girl, that's between him and his girl, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I see him, he be on social media with his son. Seems like he got a good relationship with his son. Son always with him. So hopefully he'll, if this girl is the mother of his kids, he take care of it, just like he do his son from what I see. TJ, don't apologize. Some people just mad at the world and want to get at you without knowing the whole story. Well, I mean, look, I just know sometimes people just get upset. Like I understand. Like sometimes, like people, I'm gonna give people some life advice. Sometimes people just get mad at you because you happy. It's true. Some people get mad at you because you're happy. Like they see you smiling, they see you probably what they say, living your best life. You're probably doing something that you enjoy. Like when I come on here, like when I go live every single day, this is something that I enjoy doing. And sometimes people will just say things because they see like, okay, you're probably getting a response, or what I'm saying, people actually, interacting with you, and it's probably some level of attention they feel like they deserve or want. I don't know what be going on with people, what I'm saying? Sometimes, I kind of feel sorry for folks sometimes, that feel like that, because I mean, we all go through the same issues, man. Like sometimes, I don't feel my best, when I come on here, and when I start talking to you all, I feel a lot better. And, sometimes the state of the saints can be therapy to me. Sometimes I don't feel like the best father. I don't feel like the best man. I don't feel like the best provider. I don't feel like the best radio personality. And then I come on here with y'all, and like just a few minutes in a day, it makes me feel a lot better. You know what I'm saying? Because I got opportunity to interact with you all. So, man, sometimes, people can have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and sometimes those words that be behind those characters symbolize hate, what I'm saying? Not just for the person on the other side of the screen, but for themselves and pain. So, I'm kind of sympathetic to people like that now these days, because I understand, I felt that way from time to time. Because sometimes I used to feel like, what was I doing wrong? If anybody say anything about Drew Brees that's negative, they ready to go to war. Yeah, Jermaine, that's true. People don't like to hear anything negative about Drew Brees, And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people just think for some apparent reason, probably mostly people that don't really check out the podcast, they just think that I just don't like Drew Brees. I love Drew Brees. But Drew Brees isn't exempt from criticism here on the State of the Saints podcast. Neither is any other Saints player. I don't care how great they are. If Michael Thomas went out there and fumbled the ball 3 times, I'll be on his behind too. It makes no difference. You know what I'm saying? It makes no difference. If you have a bad game and you are the reason why the Saints were not successful that week, I'm gonna call you out. I feel like you're doing a person a disservice or an injustice. You know what I'm saying? And maybe people are looking out for their bottom line. Maybe people like buying to like, okay, I might lose this person as a subscriber. My numbers might go down. They might not be paying attention to me no more. I don't care. Like I just give my perspective, okay? I don't say that I'm the most, correct podcaster, Saints, analyst, Saints, media person that you're gonna find. I just give my opinion, about a team that I've followed my whole entire life since I can remember. And I just feel like, if a person wants to walk away because I don't feel the same way they do, then probably didn't have your attention or your respect in the first place. Okay, so that's the way I look at it. Because I'm going to always give people that platform, and I'm always going to give people the right to say how they feel. And I'm not here to try to change people's mind. Like me and Iceman T go at it. Iceman may have something to say sometimes, that'd be different from me. And you know what I'm saying? But I respect the hell out of Iceman's T opinion. You know what I'm saying? And Chemo or Kirion or Jerry, you know what I'm saying? Like anywhere it go, you know what I'm saying? Like we have to understand like people are not going to agree every time, and I feel like that's not the way we should do things. TJ, you do an excellent job on this platform. I respect what you do, man. Keep up the good work. People gonna hate for BS. It's simple as that. Well, I appreciate that, DLP. But like I said, I kind of feel bad for people that feel that way, because man, I was like that at one time. Like I'm just being serious. I was like that at one time. Like I was wondering, like, man, why wasn't my channel growing? Like, why, nobody was doing it, paying attention to me. Like, I've been those people. That's why I'm not like sitting up here like judging folk. Like, I'm telling you, man, if I'm going to say something, I'm not going to just say something, throw the brick and hide my hand. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see me up close and personal. And if I'm guilty of what I'm saying, I'm going to tell you, because I feel like it's wrong for us to be out here judging others, saying, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the way that it is, but kind of deep down inside, that's how you are, or that's how you was, and I was that way. But I do feel sorry for folk, like if you giving me like criticism and I feel like, it don't come from a place of malice or a place of envy or a place of anger or anything like that, like I take it, like if a person tells me like sometimes like, if they give me advice about the show or something like that, I'll take the advice, and if it's something I feel like I can do, or I feel like it's something that's worth changing, I'll take it. But if it's just up there talking about you suck, you need to shut up or something like that, man, I just know where that comes from because I was that person at one time. Because I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with the way I was living my life. And I just wanted that pain and that pressure and that hurt to go away. And the easiest way that you can do that from time to time, folks, is to try to relieve the pressure off you and try to put it on somebody else, which isn't fair, by the way. You got to clean yourself up. You got to look within yourself and figure out, what am I doing wrong? Where can I find some of this happiness that this person has found? And how can I capture it in a bottle and carry it around with me every single day? And I found that level of happiness, man. So I hope everybody out there finds that level of happiness too, man, whatever it is. You know, just understand, man, like your time is coming. You know, my grandfather, I told this quite a few times here on the State of the Saints podcast. My grandfather, who was a minister, he often used to tell this story while he was preaching. He said that a man was looking out of the window and he was looking across the street. He seen that his neighbor had a brand new car. And then he looked a little further, a couple houses down. The neighbor after that had a brand new car. And the more, then a neighbor down the street, it looked like he had, a brand new paint job on his house. And he the further he looked down, the angrier he got. But the guy didn't realize while he was looking at this guy with the new car and the next door neighbor with the new car and the other guy with the paint job, he wasn't realizing that it wasn't the fact that he didn't have those things at that time. It was the fact that God was in the neighborhood. So when you see somebody successful out there, when you see somebody out here doing their thing, when you see somebody happy, and and you're around that person, you can be affected by that person. And maybe, that person is showing you what God can do for you. For all those people out there that's religious, not that I'm trying to make this conversation, about religion or anything, but just know your time is going to come, man. Like whatever you got to do, rather you want to start a podcast, rather you want to start a business, rather you want to, talk about sports, talk about the Saints, whatever you want to do, just know that your time will come. If you stay consistent, if you stay humble, and you appreciate every single day and every single moment and every single step that you took to get to that point, I think you'll be all right, folks. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, this side chick is ticked at him, so she contacted New Orleans Saints saying he abused her or something like that and asked the team to release him. Wow. I don't know. That's rough. That's rough stuff right there. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a young kid. I think he's like 22 years old, man. So I've seen a lot of rookie mistakes being made by him. Hopefully, they don't have like no evidence or anything like that that will get him thrown out of the league or anything like that. Right now, if she's doing that, it's like he said, she said type stuff. So the female can honestly be setting him up, man. Probably. If he like like you said, of a girl, like I don't want to get into that, you know what I'm saying? Like, but he has to be careful, man. Maybe he fell asleep during those symposiums or something like that, like when they be having like all those old football players that come through talking about they lost their money and, all these women and having children and stuff like that. Maybe he fell asleep or something like that, but it's a rookie mistake by him, man, but he young, so hopefully he can learn from this. Ayo, TJ, teams better pray that Ruiz don't turn into the black Ryan Ramczyk and that Trotman doesn't develop into Kittle or a young Gronk. Yeah, man, but we hoping that they do. I'm hoping all the success to those young guys, man, because I feel like they're going to be very important to the future of the New Orleans Saints, and I like both guys, and the Saints been batting them and hitting them out of the park. Been hitting them out the park, been hitting home runs. So, like I said, they need to make sure that they keep Jeff Ireland in quarantine at all times. I'm telling you, because the way this guy been hitting in the draft, it's only a matter of time for the phone ring and somebody asks him to be their general manager, and that is going to be a dark day in New Orleans, folks, because Jeff Ireland is he's the secret behind this success, and all these players that's been coming in has really been doing their thing. I mean, he's gonna end up being somebody GM, and now they have this new CBA where coaches can block coaches from interviewing with other teams. So somebody's gonna be calling this dude. I definitely appreciate the interaction, TJ. I stopped watching most podcasts because they only answer super chat questions. Chemo, not me. Look, whatever a person is doing in their podcast, I wish them the success. Like I got a lot of respect for all those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like Big Q, Deuce Winham, Nos, other podcasters too. You know what I'm saying? Keep Pounding TV. He's a Carolina Panthers fan. You know what I'm saying? Like my guy Julio, he's a Falcon fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I got a lot of respect for those guys, but not me, man. Look, I appreciate the donations that people give, like real talk. You know what I'm saying? I do. But that's not the reason why, you know what I'm saying, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because, oh man, you know what I'm saying, I'm getting super chats or people going to do. Like, I can care less. What I care about is your voice mattering, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you why this means so much to me. I never told y'all this. This is the reason why I try to answer as many questions in the comments as I possibly can. This is the reason. Because when I was in Dallas, Texas, I used to call the radio stations a lot, okay? Because if you ever stayed in Dallas or if you stay in around the Metroplex, as to what they call Dallas, the Metroplex, people call in and they on the phone for 35, 45 minutes, okay? They on the phone for 35, 45 minutes. They finally get on. And then the primary focus is that particular radio personality. And what the producer does is they try to make sure that that particular radio personality doesn't look bad by the caller. Okay, so what they do is, I'll show y'all. Okay, y'all see these, right? These are levels, right? Okay, you know what I'm saying? You turn these levels up and down. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, so if a caller started making sense or anything like that, what they do is they try to cut the volume down and stuff like that, so the radio personality can sound louder and his opinion can mean more. And I thought about that, you know what I'm saying? Between waiting for 35 minutes, making you frustrated to a point where you probably be like, man, let me hang up, man, they ain't gonna answer my call. And to a point where the person who is the caller, the person that is the listener, who is supposed to be the most important person on the show, they don't get the time that they deserve. No disrespect, you know what I'm saying, to Kristen Garrett and Bobby Abel, but I feel the same exact way with them. You know, like, I feel like, they take too much time away from the person that's waiting on the phone to talk to these guys. So that's why interacting with you all means so much to me, and that's why it's so important to me, because I want everybody's voice to matter. Rather you sitting up here on the State of the Saints podcast trying to troll, or you really feel a certain type of way about it. I try to give you all the attention that I feel like you deserve. Okay, so that's the reason why it's so important to me. Being in radio, being in broadcasting, I feel like the most important person is the person that's viewing your show, listening to your show, taking the time out their schedule to show you some love. So super chats are not that important, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, not important to me at all. I appreciate them, I really do, but that's not gonna stop me from reading your comments. Boxing Prophet says, what's good, TJ? Boxing Prophet says, who that? Kirian says, I gotta teach you how the same name, you keep butchering it. Just call me Kai. Okay, so your name is not Kirian? Okay, is it Kyrian? How do you say it? Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, you saying Kai, okay. You say call you Kai. I don't know, man. I'm sorry for butchering your name, but with phonetics, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It looks like it says, Kyrian or Kyrian. And looking at it phonetically. I apologize, though, Kai. If the season start, who do you feel will be the biggest impact for the Saints this year? The biggest impact probably Marcus Davenport, because I feel like out of everybody else pretty solid. So if they come out there, they balling, nobody really gonna say too much of anything. But if he come out there jumping out of the gate doing big things, people gonna be like, hold up, wait a minute, man, we got something here. So I'm looking at Davenport. I like that TJ God is in the blessing business. Yeah, man, he definitely is. Alvin Kamara bouncing back or Cesar Ruiz, I feel, are going to have an impact. Yep. Corey says she pregnant for him supposedly. Well, like I said, man, it's between him and that girl. As long as it don't affect his play, and hopefully, it won't get any, it won't get any type of bad press or anything like that to a point where he loses his job. I can't wait to see all the rookies this year. These guys could come up big for the team. I hope so. Jeff Ireland and Lewis been like Game 7, LeBron and Kyrie in the finals when it comes to finding talent. Yeah, that's true, man. And Mickey Loomis been a whiz with that checkbook. But I'm smart enough to know. Honestly, I am. I'm smart enough to know that let's not pretend like Mickey Loomis didn't become a much better GM when Jeff Ireland got there. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, okay? I'm just gonna leave it at that. He's the assistant GM for a reason. So, and some of y'all probably can attest to this. You know how if you ever worked in retail, you ever been an assistant manager? I have. You ever been one of those assistant managers that work your ass off? I have. Have you ever been one of those assistant managers when the DM actually comes in and the store looks immaculate and everything is straight and the back room is straight? Who they looking at? They looking at the store manager. They like, man, this store look good. Keep up the good work. Even though that store manager probably been sitting his behind in the office throughout the whole entire shift and hiding from work. That's what Jeff Ireland is to me. I'm just saying, like Mickey Loomis became one heck of a better GM once Jeff Ireland got on board back in 2016. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you figure that out. TJ, you about talking Saints live with the supporters. Yeah, man. I always try to talk, Saints live with the supporters. Like, people that I've been since I got like this the new platform with doing it with Streamlabs. I got the opportunity to actually do shows with different people. I did the show last night with my brother. I did it with Jared Anderson, the host of Lanyard Legends, last week. And hopefully, man, I get my Iceman T on there. Hopefully, Big Q can be a part of the show. I want to get other people, man. As long as you're around this thing, just doing a whole bunch of cursing and using obscenities and all that kind of stuff there, and you can project and you can expound on stuff about the Saints. I ain't got no problem with putting anybody on the show. Like real talk. Like I'm not that selfish. I would love to. As long as like you have knowledge of the Saints and as long as long as you can do that, I'm fine. I'll be ripping them. Thank you very much for the $5. He says players are hypocrites. They'll speak on BLM, but won't not a word about the fart discrimination I face every day. Fart lives matter, fool. Well, I'll be ripping them, man. Thank you so much, man. I'm sorry you feel discriminated against. Maybe you need to go to fart civil court. Maybe, they'll hear your case out there. I don't know. But thank you, man, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Bobby Bear will make you hang up. Can't get a word in. Absolutely. Bobby Bear, I don't know if he lived vicariously through the radio station. He has a sense of ownership to it. And maybe it's like, maybe Bobby Bear's reached that point where he's that old man that nobody listened to until he gets on the air. And maybe he just has a lot of stuff bottled up. And maybe he just use that as his platform. But I feel like it's the wrong way to go. And quite honest, man, WWL, I feel like they need some young blood up in there too, man. I feel like those old cats, who, from the 1980s and all these older guys, I feel like they just need I feel like they need a younger perspective, man. That's my dream to work for WWL, but I feel like they just need some younger anchors there. Don't disrespect to Christian Garrett or anything like that. I just feel like they need some new young broadcasters that can give a different perspective on the Saints. I feel like sometimes they're a little bit too boring for me. They more like what I like to call fishing reporting. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're on the water, you got your little radio out there, you bought about 1 million batteries for it and you're on a lake and you fishing, and you know what I'm saying, and you listening to WWL, and you probably fell asleep in a boat. That's what I feel about them. You know, I feel like there's like, I don't know, man. When I think about a sports show, I think about action. You know, I think about high energy. I think about projection. You know what I'm saying? I think about, stuff like that. I don't feel like they give you that on WWL. I think that they need some diversity up in that thing. Yeah, Loomis did come up when Ireland came. I seen the Raiders made Clowney a nice offer. Yeah, that's good for him. It might be a good spot for him. True that on Ireland. Notice the record since he has been here. Yep, I ain't giving Loomis too much credit. All I remember is like Mickey Loomis. We was always in cap hell. We were drafting guys who really didn't pan out. You know what I'm saying? We was getting guys in free agency that was undisciplined. And Jeff Ireland came and all of a sudden, oh, you know what I'm saying, Mickey Loomis getting all the praise, man. I don't know. I don't know how successful Mickey Loomis will be without Jeff Ireland as his assistant GM. That's all I'm saying. TJ, you should do a podcast on who were the worst quarterbacks in Saints history. Yeah, man, I should. Maybe that'll be coming soon after we finish with the worst cornerbacks. Maybe that'll come next. Loomis does his thing with the numbers, though. Yeah, now Elvis, but like going back to 2013, 2014, man, we was in cap hell. Like, a couple of years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Junior Gillette just got off the books about 2-3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, Junior Gillette ain't been with the Saints about 5 years. So I'm not gonna give him all the credit. Now I'm gonna say that he's been doing a good job lately. But once upon a time, not so much. Dre Kirkpatrick would be a nice option for depth at the outside corner. Yeah, I think he'll be good in the inside too. I think that he'll be able to play both ways. Not both ways, but both inside and outside. When do you think we will start to draft some LSU players? I'm not sure, man. I just think that Sean Payton just don't really care for LSU players. Maybe it's just the fact that he feel like they too close to home. And, maybe he just feel like they need to get away. I mean, that is true, though. I mean, sometimes you got to get away from home, man. Sometimes some of that home cooking is bad for you. Especially like when you probably in areas, people or, probably bad influences on you. Maybe it's good for them to do that. So, I mean, it's not like, they haven't got LSU players before, but I just don't think he look at LSU players the way that he should. But who knows, man? How old are you, TJ? I can't even tell. My guess is about 31. I'm 33, man. I'm 33 years old. Yeah, I'm 33 years old. I'll be 34 next month. Yeah, Corey, he was bad. Couldn't throw a shirt in a washing machine. Man. Oh, man. Man. Michael Freeman said Michael Thomas played with a broken hand against Minnesota last year in a wild card and still had 7 catches for 70 yards, and another receiver wouldn't have even gotten to 40 yards. I agree with that. Because that guy a dog, man. Don't forget he let Malcolm leave and brought in the Bird. Exactly. Well, I'm not going to criticize him for that one, because a lot of people wanted Jairus Byrd at the time. Everybody wanted Jairus Byrd. We were cheering. We was dancing on the ceiling. We was yelling "Who that" out the window when we got Jairus Byrd. So nah, bro, hindsight is 20/20. But let's not pretend like we weren't happy when Jairus Byrd came to town, when he got that 6-year contract. Let's not pretend like we weren't happy. So, like I said, we looking at it now. It was a bad idea, but back then, looked like he was the smartest man in the room. Jeff Ireland, thank you very much for the $2. He said, thanks for setting them straight, TJ. I am the Saints. Yeah, man, Jeff Ireland is the man. Jeff Ireland does an outstanding job. I'm just scared to death that he gonna end up leaving the Saints rather next year or the year after. Somebody gonna figure out how great he is, and they seeing the Saints hit on all these draft picks, and they gonna want to get in on his action. Imagine if Austin Carr were a cell phone tower. All your calls would be dropped. Oh man, look, I'm not gonna get on Austin Carr like that, man, Josh, because quite frankly, he don't get the ball enough. I don't see enough out of Austin Carr. When he in a game, I forget he even playing, cause they don't throw on the ball. So, man, just out there running around like it's like I don't know, it's like those little electric football machines. You know, they just be running around in a circle. You know what I'm saying? Like for absolutely no reason whatsoever. That's kind of what I look at with him. So. Marcus Williams is what Bird was supposed to be. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I agree with that. Jarvis Bird was just a disaster. TJ, we need a linebacker like the Dome Patroller again, but can cover too. Yeah, we need that. I think we got some linebackers that can cover. I think if they stay healthy, I think that we have a good combination with Alex Anzalone, Kiko, and Demario Davis. I think we got a good combination. I really do. I'm happy with what we have. But let's focus on Drew Brees before I get up out of here. The reason I'm having this conversation about is Drew Brees holding the Saints back. It's very simple. One, because people have been emailing me about this, and I've been feeling the energy of the Who Dat Nation on the state of the Saints. It seems like a lot of people are kind of tired of Drew Brees. They're kind of frustrated with Drew. They're not happy with his playoffs performances and stuff like that. So what I decided to do, I decided to pull up his stats in the postseason. Now, Drew Brees is 8-8 all time in the postseason. He's 8-8. That includes with the San Diego Chargers. He has had 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He has fumbled 12 times throughout his career. So he has 12 interceptions and 12 fumbles all time in the playoffs. Now, we all know about the crucial fumble last year against the Minnesota Vikings. We know about in the first half of that divisional round of the playoffs against the Minnesota Vikings in 2018. He played horrible. We know about the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. It was, it could have been a much better game for the Saints than it was. We know the first play from scrimmage, he threw an interception. We know in the NFC Championship game when Demario Davis caught an interception, put the Saints in the red zone, they weren't able to convert. And we know about the interception in overtime that set up the Greg Zuerlein field goal. So with that being said, folks, I think there's some validity behind Drew Brees being one of the reasons why the Saints have not reached their final destination, which is the Super Bowl. Now, it's not all on him. I think you need to take some blame and split it up and give some to Sean Payton. Sean Payton, who calls the plays. Sean Payton, who is the guy who puts the offensive game plans together every week. Sean Payton, who is not committed to the running game. He is one of those guys that is just adamant on throwing the football all over the place, which me personally, I just don't understand. I feel like he takes Drew Brees and maybe he lives vicariously through him. And what really, really makes me mad about Sean Payton is this. Sean Payton can run the ball if he wants to. We seen it when Teddy Bridgewater was in the game. We see it when Taysom Hill is in the game. So we know that the Saints can successfully run the football and be effective doing so. But it seemed like when he sees Drew Brees, it seemed like, like he owes something to Drew. But I feel like he does owe something to Drew. I agree with that. But he owes something to Drew to give him a running game and also try to relieve some of the pressure off of Drew. I understand that they can join at the hip. I understand that he feel like his success is pinned to Drew Brees' success because everything that Jay say about Drew Brees, he feels like he has something to do with it. But Drew Brees is going to retire in a couple years. And my question is, what is Sean Payton going to do? Are we going to keep on having the same type of heartbreak? Is he going to allow his ego to get him shipped up out of New Orleans? Is he going to make his ego allow a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation to turn their backs on him? Because honestly, there are some whispers, and a lot of people don't have that same level of respect for Sean Payton as a coach that they did back in the in the early 2010s, like late 2000s, on 2006 on back. The respect is always there, but that level of love and patience that they have for him is not there anymore. So they got to do something. You know what I'm saying? They got to do something to change this. I'm me personally as a Saints fan. I'm tired. I'm tired of watching the New Orleans Saints be as good as they need to be, being as effective as they should be, having one of the best records in the league, being one of the best teams in the league, and we go to the playoffs and it seems like they just forget how to play football. And maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that Sean Payton maybe he gets a little nervous. Maybe he overthinks himself. But one thing is going to have to change. They're going to have to run the football and they're going to have to get much better on defense. The defense is much better than it was, earlier over the past decade, but they need to get much better because they're going to have to step it up, man, because you can't just rely on Drew Brees to just bail you out all the time because now we're seeing that Drew can't. Drew can't bail you out all the time. He can bail you out a couple games. He can bail you out a regular season game, maybe against a team that probably middle of the pack, but he doesn't have that like he used to. And you can't take that for granted. Alex Anzalone is a playmaker and coverage when healthy. I agree. I'm excited about Kiko Alonso as long as he stay healthy and Caden Ellis. Yeah, man, as long as they stay healthy, they should be okay. Well, that overtime pick was kind of Fowler's hand to mask. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but still he threw that interception. And honestly, if you look at that play, why would you throw that football? Why would you even try to throw it? I don't know, man. It just seemed like Drew Brees just in the playoffs, he just does like unconventional things. Like I know for a fact, like Drew Brees in a regular season, if he didn't want to take the sack, he'll throw it at the feet of a running back or he'll throw it out of bounds. But it seemed like in a playoffs, it seemed like he don't, I don't know if he just overthinks things. Like when he about to go down to the ground, he launched the ball down the field like a punt. Like, come on, man. I understand, like you trust your players, you think you got playmakers and stuff, but live to fight another day. You know what I'm saying? Send that defense back out on the field or something. I get it, but nah, man, you can't do it like that. Yeah, Breeze got hit in the face, Fowler, and the ref missed that. But still, he threw the football when he didn't have to. Look, just take the sack. If you would have took the sack, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least you want, at least you want to turn the ball over. Teams must use Latavius Murray this season. He is too good a player to be sitting for long stretches. Yeah, I agree. He's a high volume carrier too. He got to carry the ball at least 20, 25 times to really be effective. Drew is good, but actually, who's next? We don't have a good exit strategy for him, for where I see. Yeah, I mean, Drew is still a good quarterback, but at the same time, it really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter who next. You know what I'm saying? The question, is like, is he the reason why they being held back? So, I mean, in a way, yes, he is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to say, man, we're going to keep on holding on to him and keep on parading this man out there. I mean, if they don't have a guy to back him up or replace him, then shame on them. So that's their fault. Murray was running like a madman, then boom, no more. Yeah, that was kind of a David Copperfield, Chris Angel disappearing act with that. I don't know. How you don't run a guy who had 159 yards from scrimmage through 5 games is beyond me. Let's see. We must run the ball and give Latavius Murray more carries. I agree. We should run Moret more. I don't even. Who is that? I don't even know who that is. I know Dwayne Washington needs some carries. I know Alvin Kamara needs to get some carries too. He's still by far the greatest quarterback in league history. Yeah, he is. This don't take away from what he's achieved as a quarterback. Man, he just old. According to NFL standards, you know what I'm saying? NFL standards, he old, not society standards. Drew tried too hard in the playoffs. Yeah, he does. I don't know if it's just the pressure of him, having to live up to what happened with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Maybe he be feeling that pressure, and maybe he feel like, man, I got to do this. Can't live like that, man. You gotta trust your teammates, which I'm really starting to feel like he don't too. Like I'm being real. Like it's rather these guys aren't that good at the receiver position, or he just don't look for them. I remember back when Drew Brees was really in his prime. Drew Brees would be throwing to everybody, but these days it looked like he just throw to guys that make the most money. Like for real. Like, he'll throw it to like, Michael Thomas, or he'll throw it to Jared Cook, So I guess you feel like, well, if they out there, I'm gonna throw in the ball. You don't even look for Austin Carr. You don't look for Lil Jordan Humphreys. You know what I'm saying? He ain't looking for them dudes. He's looking for Michael Thomas, which I ain't mad at him. I understand why, but I mean, when Colston was the primary receiver, Henderson got the ball, Lance Moore got the ball, Meacham got the ball, you know what I'm saying? Like Shockey got the ball, David Thomas got the ball. I mean, so many guys got it. So it was hard to zero in. Now it's pretty easy to zero in on the Saints because they know we're going to get the ball. Drew tries too hard, yeah. Brees forgot he doesn't have the 2015 defense still, maybe. Well, I don't want him to have the 2015 defense because they wasn't that good. Shoot. I ain't want that defense. That's the defense that was stay getting burnt. I think Corey, I meant Murray. Okay, Latavius Murray, yeah. Yeah, they definitely need to run him more, Mike. Sometimes it's the offensive line struggling too. Man, last year in the playoffs, they sucked bad, really bad. Look, Jarhead Fishing, look, I agree with what you're saying. That makes sense. But you also have to understand now, look, we just seen a quarterback get 10 years over $400 million, okay, in Patrick Mahomes. The quarterback position is one of the highest paid positions. Well, it is the highest paid position in the NFL, okay? So you can't afford to go out there and just get elite on the offensive line. That is the reason why you see a lot of these quarterbacks being able to have the ability to scramble. Okay, the days of just standing up in the pocket and standing strong and hoping that your offensive line be like the Great Wall of Dallas back in the days of the Cowboys dynasty, those days are done. Okay, those days are done. The defensive ends and the defensive tackles are too doggone athletic. The linebackers are too athletic. You can't just expect your offensive line, who is 330 pounds, to be able to block for you every single time versus a hybrid athlete playing at the defensive end, playing at the defensive tackle, playing at the linebacker position, coming at the quarterback. Your quarterback has to have the ability to scramble or maneuver outside the pocket or when plays break down to be able to throw the ball down the field. And for people that just sitting up there, sometimes I feel like, no disrespect, Jarhead, but sometimes I feel like we are grading and looking at quarterbacks the conventional way, the throwback way, where the offensive line was strong, a strong tower, and nobody touched them. Guys not looking like that anymore. They're not. They are not trying to get offensive linemen like that anymore. And for the most part, they can't keep all the offensive linemen like that. So the quarterback has definitely going to have the ability to scramble. Now, let me just play devil's advocate here. Let me play devil's advocate. Do you think that if Taysom Hill would have been a starting quarterback, or if Taysom Hill would have stayed in that game, do you think that the Saints would have beat the Minnesota Vikings? I do. Okay, I do, because Taysom Hill has a strength that the Minnesota Vikings lack in defensively. It's a quarterback that can scramble in the pocket, that has the ability to run and throw the ball down the field. It's just something that most modern quarterbacks have. And I hate to say it, but the statue quarterback, those days are over. And people talking about offensive line. Look, it don't work like that no more. Like, think about this, man. Whose offensive line is just sitting up there standing strong and watching the quarterback just back there in the pocket, being able to knit a sweater before he can get the ball down the field? I guarantee you, if a quarterback has a really good offensive line, I guarantee you that quarterback has the ability to scramble. I guarantee you that he has the ability to scramble. I mean, we can look at it from all different, levels. Okay, I see NY Phenom says He says the Colts. Okay, well, the Colts had Jacoby Brissett, who has the ability to run. Okay, he has the ability to run. And unless you're talking about Quentin Nelson, ain't nobody really on that offensive line just a household name. And Jacoby Brissett has the ability to scramble. Andrew Luck has the ability to scramble. Okay, now Phillip Rivers, he's one of those last of the dying breed quarterbacks, so it'd be interesting. And I think that they'll be able to block for him. But I feel like they still going to be giving up more sacks. I guarantee you they're going to be giving up more sacks than they did when Jacoby Brissett or Andrew Luck was their quarterback, because both of those guys had the ability to run. So the Saints have a top-notch offensive line. They do have a top-notch offensive line. But what I'm saying is, NY, is the fact that you have hybrid-type athletes playing on the line now. And you expecting a 330-pound guy to be able to move with, some of these guys that are freaks of nature, can be able to jump over them, move them out of the way, find all type of new shifty ways in order for them to get to the quarterback. I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't know if people understand this, but an interior lineman getting 10 plus sacks, bruh, like, that's hard to do. It is hard to get 10 plus sacks in the interior like Aaron Donald does or Fletcher Cox does. It is hard to do. So offensive linemen, I mean, just because they give up a sack, to me, I don't feel like they suck because of it. I mean, these defensive linemen are freaks of nature. They had an answer for Drew, not Taysom. I was praying Sean Payton saw that. Yeah, but ego. Saints offensive line, Teddy had a 10-second pocket one game. Yeah, a 10-second pocket one game, but I mean, that goes to show you how good they are. But there's been some times where Teddy had to run for a first down. I mean, am I right or am I wrong? I mean, I remember a couple of times where Teddy had to extend the play by using his feet. Agreed, but look at the limited time in the pocket. I think even Russell Wilson would have struggled too. I don't agree with that. If you want to talk about sorry offensive lines, like, that is a bad example to use there, Jarhead, because Seattle, as long as I can remember Russell Wilson being with them, always had a bad offensive line. And that's one of the main reasons why he gets his money every year. I mean, this guy be running for his life, okay? And that's one of the interesting dynamics, about Russell Wilson. That's what we love about him, is the fact that with an offensive line that has been mediocre at best, he's been able to weather the storm and lead that team to the playoffs the majority of his career. So, I just feel like that's one of the reasons why they end up keeping him. And that's one of the reasons why I don't feel like they go out there and try to commit so much to the offensive line, because they know they have a quarterback like Wilson. Yes, but that wasn't the playoffs. I stated playoff time. Yeah, that's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like in the playoffs, but shame on Sean Payton. I mean, you've seen the same type of look that Minnesota gave you against the Falcons early in the season. The Falcons put their fastest defensive ends on the inside to bring pressure right up the middle at Drew Brees. That's what they did. And shame on you if you didn't learn from your mistakes. When you seen Minnesota doing that, you should have just been like, man, I seen this act before. Let me go ahead and change and adjust this. And he should have adjusted accordingly. So that's incompetence on Sean Payton's part, that he didn't get that fixed. What's up, TJ? Man, what's going on, Joe? Adrian, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Good afternoon, TJ. What's going on, Adrian? Michael says the Seahawks O-line is poverty. Definitely is. Oh my God, if Wilson had our O-line, couldn't even fathom that. If I'm saying this, and I feel very strongly about this. If Russell Wilson was the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, I guarantee you we'll probably have 2 Super Bowls out of 3. That's how I feel about Russell Wilson. I feel like we would have beat, we would have beat Minnesota. I feel like we would have had what it takes to beat Philadelphia. And if we didn't have 2 Super Bowls, I guarantee we would have been to 2 Super Bowls out of these last 3 years with Russell. I mean, Russell just gives you a different dynamic. Is he as accurate as Drew? No, he's not. But he does give you an interesting dynamic. And that guy is hard to stop. And the game ain't over until it hit all zeros in the fourth quarter. It is not over It is not over when Russell Wilson is your quarterback. At some point, they're gonna have to get Wilson and O line. He's gonna only be able to run for so long. I agree. I agree with that. They should have ran it up the middle hard against Minnesota. I agree. 100% shame on Sean. I think they should have ran the dang ball more with Murray, and it would have been a different story, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, Jarhead. That's a good assessment. They should have ran the football more. The lack of awareness and that he showed by not being able to adjust when he seen that he was doing, and when I mean I mean Mike Zimmer was doing the same thing that your rival Dan Quinn. So it's not like you had to go far. It's not like you had like, for example, it's not like you were playing against a team that you only see every few years. You could have just like, how much Falcon footage do you need to pull up? I mean, and it was a couple weeks back. All you had to do was pull up that tape and figure out what they were doing in order to try to, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that Drew Brees is in the pocket. That's all you had to do. And for the Saints not to be able to adjust, that is sad. I mean, look no further than Sean Payton on that one. But I'm about to go ahead and get up out of here, man. I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all for the love and the support. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. YouTube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Also, Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Wish you all have a great day, evening, night, wherever you're looking at this podcast or listening to it. Really do appreciate it. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?